Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today. I am here today with Mary Morgan, and Mary is going to share much more about herself. But if you're somebody listening and you feel like right now you're at ground zero, or maybe you're not seeing consistent results as much as you'd like when it comes to your sales and how many clients you're getting, and feeling afraid to charge what you feel your program's worth, we're going to dive into a little bit more about how you can build your luxury brand. So Mary, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Hailey, for having me on. And I'm so excited to dive into this conversation. So much gold ahead. And, my journey has been quite a wild ride, to say the least, like going from $100 to my name, getting into my first coaching program, being a great student, getting on 165 sales calls before closing a single client, to then having over $1 million business in under 2 years has been incredible, and hitting over 100K cash months. So really seeing that shift, when we talk about building a luxury brand and we talk about building this beautiful and amazing empire, it's yes, the offers, yes, the strategy, but one of the biggest pieces that I've realized also, especially in charging high ticket, is your identity. It's who you're being. It's how you're showing up. It's the person behind the screen, and everything in between.
Yeah. So let's narrow in on that. And where you say you went from $100 to your name to 100K cash month. I love too that you tracked how many sales calls you had before you got a yes. I wish I tracked that because I don't remember, but I know it was a lot. I was doing a lot of things in the beginning of my business, figuring things out. So tell us a little bit about what were some shifts you had to change to become and establish yourself as a luxury brand and change those results.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think when I look back at that, I don't even see myself as a luxury brand. I didn't even build a brand. It was really, I just want to sell these things online. So I had a graphic design business, and then I transitioned into the coaching space. I didn't know coaching even existed. I didn't know that you could sell your knowledge online. Like, this was just such a new space for me. And I remember seeing something around this woman who was doing this. And before I knew it, I was in LA at a conference where it was all on coaching. So I was sitting in the audience and I'm like, I need to work with her. Like, this is it. I knew from the beginning, like, you've got to invest in yourself. You've got to hire mentorship. Like, I've always been that kind of person that was like, yes, go directly to the source, get the support, and then go. So for me, it was huge. It was a $6,000 investment that she was running this, I think, a 6 or 8 week training. And it was not a logical decision at all. It made no sense. It left me with $100 to my name that day with, here I am in LA, I have nothing ready to head back home yet. And other than my credit card and my ticket back, but that was it. So I fly back to Toronto and I become the best student. I show up on every coaching call. I listen to all the things. I get on 165 sales calls, and here I am. So I get my first yes, finally. And it was my fiance's birthday. I'm like, this is amazing, babe. Like, it's your birthday. I'm celebrating that. I've got my first clients. Like, this is so good. And as we're heading downtown for his birthday, I get a text message on my phone that says, Mary, thank you so much, but I realize I actually can't make this happen. I'm going to need a refund. So I had my first sale, first refund, all within a couple hours. It felt like my life was crashing down. It was like I put all this work. I was the best student, and I have no evidence that this is even working. I have no evidence that this makes sense to even continue on. So this was one of the first pieces that actually started my identity shift. So I keep doing the calls, I keep doing the stuff, I keep plugging away, and I see another opportunity to work with someone for $20,000. And again, I've made no money. I have no evidence that this makes sense. I have no evidence that this is the right time. And I decide I'm doing this. There was something in that decision, Hailey, that I feel like was such a shift, because I didn't go into it being like, I'm going to be the best student. I went into it being like, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But like, I feel something, I'm going. It was like I took my power back and then I moved. And that was my very first identity shift, and that I noticed significantly. And that was my first $20,000 week that week.
Wow. Nice. Wow. Oh my gosh. So first of all, I love that you had the willingness to keep going with, even though you weren't seeing the results yet. I think that's the first takeaway here for anybody here who wants to establish themselves. You got to be willing to do that. And you have to be willing to make risks that are calculated, but also you trusted your gut and you just said, I'm going to keep moving forward. You didn't dwell in indecision. You didn't dwell in why me, all that kind of stuff. So one of the other questions I want to ask you about is, how did you go about getting those first 165 sales calls, and what shifted when you had a 20K week in your actions as opposed to, and your thoughts, as opposed to that initial part?
It's so funny. I feel like my actions were like the same. Like, I feel like I was doing the same stuff. It was just such an identity shift. I showed up in so much more power than being this like tiny little itty bitty version of myself that was playing small. It was less of come on the call. Like, I could even tell, like, I actually watched some of these recordings back recently, and I saw, like, I'm like, I would have said the same thing that I said then now. Like, the strategy was quite similar, but when I look at myself, I can tell there are certain phrases I say. Like, I said things like, I feel like I could kind of, like, I would say, I feel like I could kind of help you with that, without realizing that I was saying that. But it was so subconscious. It was in my words. It was in my phrasing. It was in my body. It was in how I was sitting, how I was showing up. So it was like, there was that. There was also this feeling of power in now deciding. Like, in that decision where I decided I'm investing $20,000 when I don't have it, I have no, like, it would make no sense for it to even happen. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs make this mistake. We say, I'm going to get clients and then hire that coach. I'm going to show up more powerfully when people are watching me. I'm going to continue to show up consistently when people are there. But it's like, they won't come unless you go first. Like, you move, they'll follow.
Oh,
that was a huge piece.
Yeah, I love that. And so true that two people could be taking the same exact actions, but one person is doing it with confidence and conviction. And that shows in how they write their posts, how they speak on their calls, and the other person isn't, and they're going to get two different results. So I love that you pointed that out. And I call it wishy-washy language. No wishy-washy language. Maybe, if you might.
Yes.
It's like,
it's so funny. I feel like you feel wishy-washy actions too. Like, you feel that.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
And then you said the other thing was you can't wait. It's not what you think, where it's like, I'm going to get clients first and then I'll feel more confident about investing in, or I'm going to feel more confident about my freebie when people actually start signing up for it. And I know it's good that way. You can't let external things dictate how you feel on the inside. Otherwise, you'll always be waiting. So one thing somebody said in the chat here, don't expect clients to take actions you wouldn't take yourself. That is so true. So I would ask everybody here, how much have you invested in you? And then how much are you asking your clients to invest in you? What's your thoughts on raising your prices, and how does somebody know if they should do that or if they can do that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I used to, and I still don't love when people say like, charge your worth, because I'm like, your worth is always priceless. Like, if I actually charged what something was worth, like, I don't know, would I put $1 zillion price tag on that? Probably, right? So it's like, it's not even our worth, because you were born worthy, like, and you're always going to be worthy of so much. So when I think about increasing pricing, to me, it's a really intuitive thing. It's intuition and discernment. It's like the intuition that in this moment, this feels like this is the right next move for me. And then the discernment of like, I'm seeing lots of clients are coming in. Like, it's the logic and it's the heart. It's the logic of like, it would not make sense for this price point at this time because I'm adding team, I'm adding systems, I'm adding things on the back end. So feasibly, like, it wouldn't be sustainable, but also it feels right. Like, I see my growth. I see that we've got a wait list now. I see that these things are shifting. So I feel like it's such an intuition and discernment coming together, and you just know. And one of the biggest things I'll say on this is like, like deep down, when you're ready. And this is for everything. It's like with those moves, I knew. I was like, yes, I know, but often what we do is like we ask people, we waffle around in our decisions. And I'll tell you, because I've seen this over and over, being in rooms of 7, 8, 9-figure companies, like people don't waffle when they hit these amazing, huge levels in their company. It's like, this is what's happening. Here's where we're going. I'll give you an example of this that happened recently and that I think would be really helpful. Not in terms of pricing, but really just seeing that not wobblingness. So we ran a masterclass. It was called The Revival. It was the best masterclass I've ever created. And people were asking for the replay links after we pulled down the video and they wanted to purchase it. So my team said, okay, amazing, sounds good. And as we're looking in Vimeo, I'm asking my team, I'm like, you guys, I don't see these videos. Where did you put them? And one team member is like, oh, I thought so-and-so did it. Another team member is like, oh, I thought so-and-so downloaded it. And I said, hold on. You're telling me the best masterclass I've ever created is gone, like is deleted. We don't have the footage of it. My old self in that moment would have been super just agitated, frustrated. Why did this happen? How, like, where is the miscommunication? Like all of this. But in that moment, I asked myself, what is this here to show me? And I said, what if the revival was something that was meant to be experienced once? Like you couldn't package this into a pre-recorded thing that you experienced. Like you had to be there live. Like it just wouldn't make sense. And then I had this feeling of like the revival remastered. And this is going to be something that happens. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So I made a post in the group, and I kid you not, before I closed the tab, there were people who were like, I want to buy this. Send me the link, send me the link, send me the link. And then my team was like, okay, hold on. What are we doing? Okay, link is coming. And it was like, it's what we do in those moments. So when we think about a price increase, when we think about creating new offers, when we think about these things, it's like, who will you be? Are you the person that's like, should I increase my price? Should I not? What do I post today? What should I post today? Or are you the person that's like, what do I want to say to the world today? What do I want to share? What's my message going to be? What's my offer going to look like? Like there's a level of power to that.
Absolutely. I love that you said that people who are successful in business, they're not waiting for permission. That is just, it's like, oh, I need to ask my coach. I need my coach to tell me I can do this. No, it's, work with your coach or work with your mentor and, get their feedback. But you can't rely on that to decide if you're going to do something or not. And one of the themes that we're also noticing here about just character traits to be successful, y'all, is you didn't sign up for these programs and then say, okay, like now I'm going to make it because I spent $20K, or like now I'm going to make it because my coach is going to be the magician that comes in and does it all for me. You were like in the game. I'm going to book these sales calls. I'm going to use my resources. I'm going to like be resourceful. And you did that. And one of the things too, I want to touch on with the price is, I agree with you that we shouldn't just be like, oh, charge your worth. But I have a training about pricing criteria in my program, and it incorporates kind of what you were saying, like logic, experience, what you feel, confident delivering, what is that worth to your audience, like real questions that allow you to determine what's your pricing criteria. Because when you make the decision about it, based on your worth, as you said, it's there, you're a human being. We're all worth a lot. You can't put a price on that, right? And I think you made a really powerful point there too, is that your program's not you. Your program is something that's transformational, and maybe your framework and the traits and the skills and the things like that you're helping your clients develop. It's not you. So how do you recommend, like we only have about 5 more minutes. So what would you say to somebody who wants to have more confidence in themselves that this is possible, but maybe they're not seeing the results yet.
Mm-hmm. So I would say, I mean, when I look at my results and clients' results, it always comes from a couple things. So one is like action taking, like 100%, and action taking without a timeline and like, this is what needs to happen by this period of time. It's like dating, right? I always think about that as an analogy. If I was like, I need to meet the man of my dreams, the one that's going to be the one by this Friday. It's like that restriction. I'm going to show up completely differently. I'm going to be looking at people a different way. And as a result, it changes the entire equation. And if I go into that experience and I'm like, well, what's the point? What's the point of getting ready, putting on all this makeup, getting all dressed up if I'm going to have the same results? I'm going to show up, I'm going to walk around, people are not going to give me much attention. So I'm just going to look like a slob and whatever. It's like, how many of us do this online where we're like, what's the point of showing up? What's the point of doing an Instagram live if no one's there? Like, Hailey, should I just go live? Like, there's 0 people watching me. So why go live? When it's like, but the fact of you doing that over and over and over and over, it will happen. It's just like abs. That's another analogy. It's like you go to the gym, and I remember asking my trainer, when am I going to see abs? She was like, Mary, it's day 5. Like, hold your horses. And it's like, literally, I feel like it's not like they slowly creep in too. If you've ever experienced this with fitness, it's like one day they're just there and you're like, whoa, how did that happen? And it's like they were there all along, but now they're listening. That's the same thing for your audience. It's like you will have moments where people are watching you, they're lurking, they might not even comment on anything, so you don't know they're there. And then one day they're like, hey, I'm ready. Like, send me the link to that thing. I'm ready to buy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love the abs analogy. It's like your abs are under there, but they're just not chiseling through yet. But if you just keep chipping away, they'll show up.
Yeah.
And you don't expect it after one day. And you said something else now it's losing I forgot, but that is some good stuff. Okay. So Mary, how can people learn more about you, connect with you, all that good stuff?
Okay, I'm going to drop that. Can I add one more thing that I think is going to be such a good gold nugget? The analogy I think of to wrap up like the luxury experience, especially like as we were talking about high ticket and things, is like everyone is selling, if we think about retailers, everyone's selling the same thing. Everyone's selling sweaters as an example. But why do you go to Walmart versus Gucci, right? It's like you go to Walmart because you're on your way to the cottage, it's raining out, and you just want to get something really quickly. Versus you don't have that same experience in Gucci. You don't go in there because you need a sweater. You go in there because you desire a sweater. So when we think about our audience and we're like, why do I have all of these people who are in lack, who are in scarcity, who are in desperation, who are in this feeling of like, there's all these objections and all of this is coming up? Like, you are speaking to people who are not in power. That's why often we speak to them and then they're in this like need, logical, etc. equation of, oh, I just need a sweater. This last coach didn't work. This is my last opportunity. Like, this is my last X number of dollars. This better work. Versus, and I used to have that in my space. Now that never happens. I never have conversations where people say, this is my last dollar. This is my last blah, blah, blah. It's like the conversation is a very much Gucci conversation. Like, you don't go in and you're like, this is my last dollar. I'm going to buy this $10,000 jacket. It's like, I have been waiting to work with you. Like, this is my moment. So it's like, you need to set the standard of this is what our conversation, this is what our work looks like. This is what it's like in my world. And you need to build that and then they will come. So that's what I'll say.
Absolutely. One really quick thing to add to that is what I always am like, ooh, if I hear this, I'm like, ooh, hold on there. Is if they're like, I hope this works. And I hope you're the one. And I hope this is the process. And I hope this is the thing. And I'm like, we don't hope, like, you create your results. Like, you don't just hope it's going to work, right? And so I think that just that subtle shift of internal locus of control. And yes, use resources, yes, get help, but ultimately you are the one responsible and you are the one who gets to create and get what you came for. And Mary, you went into your programs probably with the fundamental belief that I am going to get what I came here for.
That was the difference. Yeah. Like that first investment, it was like, you better work. That second investment was like, who knows if this works or not, but it's here for me. Like, let's just do this. Again, it's like Walmart, Gucci. That first investment was Walmart to me. This better work. Like, it's raining outside. I'm going to put this on. It's going to save me. Versus that next investment was like, I want to be here. Like this is, I don't know. I just feel something like, let's do it. And there was something with that power that changed the game. And that was such a big like opening portal for me that really opened up everything else that came through. So yeah, such a good conversation. I feel like we can go on for a lifetime, but where can people find me? So we have the Mary Morgan Show, which I know you're going to come on our conversation, and that's going to be super, super fun. On Spotify, iTunes, like all things that you can stream on, and Instagram, like anywhere else that you want to connect, at marymorgan.biz.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, this was so fun. Thank you so much. I feel like we jam really well together. Thanks for being on the Health Coach Nation podcast, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.